Hey YouTube, Larry here, and I just kind of wanted to touch base on something. Obviously the name of my channel is Civilian Tactical Unit. It doesn't mean what some of you might. Yes, I'm big into guns. I am pro Second Amendment. Um, I am very conservative. But after I got to thinking about it, okay, I don't come from a military background. I don't have any law enforcement training. Um, I do, concealed carry. Um, I have open carried in the past. I enjoy going out shooting, but I don't train as if I was um, getting ready for war. Am I ready in case it happens? Yes. But that's not what my channel is fully about. My channel is more about the fact that I'm a civilian, just like pretty much anybody and everybody that's going to be watching my channel is, and that I'm taking a tactical approach to taking my life back in the aspect of um, not being reliant on needing a job that maybe I have to work a bunch of overtime or whatever to help pay the bills and living paycheck to paycheck. My channel is gradually going to start having things going on in regards to um, reducing debt, or at least that's what we want to do. We want to reduce our debt so then that way we can take that extra money every month and get everything paid off by the time I retire. The girlfriend's going to be retiring in less than 8 years. She's going to retire with a full pension, and of course, then she's also going to have her 401k, and uh, I will be retiring in 12 years. Um, she's a couple years older than I am, so she's also been at her job longer. When I started my job, which at the time I needed something, and I went ahead and got a job at the post office. I started out, as a letter carrier, which they used to be when you started out, you were a part-time flexible. Now they call them a certified carrier assistant or city carrier assistant, where you're classified as part-time, where you're going to work, say 360 days in a year, and then at that 360 day mark, they give you 5 days off. Then they bring you back to work and do it all over again until you make regular. I have recently made regular, so I'm no longer mandatory overtime. I get to choose every quarter whether I want to work 40 hours a week, work assignment, which basically means that if my day's work takes me past 8 hours, well, then I work that amount of overtime or however long it takes. Or I can go on the overtime list. I've worked enough overtime in my life that I don't care to work overtime unless I absolutely have to. And we have gone and recently eliminated a bunch of debt. Do we still have the debt? Yes. But we borrowed against her 401k in the form of a loan. So we're paying interest back into her 401k. So we borrowed, X amount of money, and we pay everything we pay back goes into her 401k. So she's losing out on whatever interest she might earn right now, but she's going to at least make some interest back based on what we took out. We paid off a bunch of debt. The only debt we still have, besides I have my student loans, but aside from that, we have my truck payment and we have the house payment, and then of course whatever, cell phone, general utilities, cable, internet, things like that. But we eliminated all credit card debt and paid off her Jeep. This actually has still kept the debt that we have, but instead of us paying out, say, $1,500 a month in bills, she's only having to pay back I guess $535 or whatever back to herself and back into her 401k. So part of the point of the channel was to show people how we went about getting to the point where we're going to be debt free by the time she retires and gets her full pension. Plus we'll still have her 401k. We'll have my retirement and my pension, even though I'm only going to have 12 years in with the post office, which, I get up 1% per year that I work there. But I don't have to work until I'm, 62, 65, 67, 70 in order to retire. I can retire age 57. And she's retiring at age 55. So by us being able to do that, which we're just the average people, I don't make a lot of money. She doesn't. She makes good money. I make good money, but we're just like the average Joe that works that 40-hour-a-week job, or even if you work 50 hours. We work the same type of job as everybody else. It's not like she's making 150, 200,000 a year, and neither am I. Combined, we're in that ballpark area, and that's pretty much what most average households are going to make, somewhere in that 100,000, 150 if you work some overtime, or if you have a good paying job. But we're also looking at gardening. We're looking at other things we can do to supplement some of that extra money that we shell out, say in groceries. I like to hunt, I like to fish, so we're going that route, and that's more or less what the name means or stands for when it comes down to me, or us in general. But it's gonna, with us taking this approach, it's going to allow us to actually be able to retire and enjoy retirement. And that's what we want to do. We eventually want to be able to buy a nice sized chunk of property and build a house on it. And of course have those other amenities such as solar, or, wind power, or even go on hydro to make electricity. So then that way, we don't have to be on the grid and and have that extra payment every month when it comes down to retirement. A lot of people, still have those same normal bills come retirement time, and they continue to have to work in order to pay for stuff. But we don't want to be in that position. We want our stuff to be paid for. Most people shoot to have their house paid off by the time they retire, and that's an outstanding goal to have. And if you can afford to pay extra every month on that house payment, it's going to pay it off that much quicker. Along with car payments. If you can get into a car payment that you can easily afford, whether it's through a decent down payment or maybe it's the only car payment you have, and you still have extra money every month, $500, $600, $1,000. Most people don't. I mean, I know I didn't. I still really don't. But you can plunk more money down every month on that payment that maybe you got that you could afford easily, because you still wanted to travel, or you wanted to take vacations with the kids, or wanted to buy new toys or whatever. But we're preparing for our best years of our life, as opposed to some people would see the channel and they might be liberal, so to speak, or left leaning, and believe it to be a channel about people going out and training tactically with firearms, with doing the old run and gun type setups and things like that, or going over different types of training scenarios and this and that and everything else. That's not what this is about. Do I practice shooting? Obviously, strong hand. I do practice weak hand. Practice in different positions, because you just never know, even in everyday life, what you might be, put against if you ever have to defend yourself. So yes, I do practice other ways, but I'm primarily about just trying to get information out there on what worked for me, what worked for us in general, why we chose to do this versus chose to do that, and to let people know how to do things that we know how to do. Just because if we don't share knowledge, that knowledge dies with us. And I would rather share what I know or my opinion on something than to allow it to die. And somebody might need that information somewhere down the road. I mean, we don't know when we're going to be, leaving this earth. Only the man upstairs knows when that's going to happen. So if I can get information out there on how to raise this, this vegetable or that vegetable, or how to raise chickens, or whatever the case we might try doing. Living in the city is a little tougher to do with some of that stuff. You obviously might have certain laws that don't allow you to have, farm animals, things like that. But if we can reduce our debt any way we can by spend. Obviously we're gonna have to spend money to buy seeds. If we decide, if we can have a chicken coop and have chickens for eggs, or as the chickens get older, obviously slaughter them and cook them up. If we can do that in the city, then you know what? That's less money we're spending at the grocery store, and in the long run, it pays for itself fairly quickly. So, but we'll be doing a lot more videos, especially when it starts getting warmer out, for gardening. I've been kind of dabbling with like a personal aquaponics type setup. Still working some of the kinks out of it. Getting the fish is the hard part. The nice thing is that in the state I live in, you can actually keep any size bluegill at most of the lakes. So I can get my bluegill for, free, so to speak, and not have to pay to get tilapia or even bluegill or bass or whatever. So, but just wanted to let everybody know, more or less what the channel is more about. So we will talk to you, and hopefully people keep watching, and we'll see where all this goes. Have a good one, guys.